in the County Court at Law courtroom in the Aransas County Courthouse located at 2718 Highway 35 North, Rockport, Texas, 78382. I call this notice of regular meeting to order. Please stand up and join me in the invocation.
Please join me as I pray. Father, as always, we're thankful for the blessings of this new day, and it's always good to be on the top side of the grass for another day. And Lord, you've blessed us in so many ways, and you've given us the health and strength to come here this morning and participate in this governmental process. And Father, we know as the commissioners consider all the items on the agenda that you have a plan for this county. And that plan is to prosper us and not to harm us. It's to give us hope and a future. So we just pray this morning as these commissioners consider each and every item on the agenda that they keep that in mind and to consult with you and align their decisions with your will. And we know that it will prosper this county and bless us all. And we trust you this morning. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledges.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Roll call.
Commissioner Cheney,
Here.
Commissioner Casterline,
Here.
Commissioner Russo, here, Commissioner Dubnik,
Here.
Judge Garza.
Here, we've got a full court. This time we'll hear from citizens to be heard. We've got quite a few. Who would like to speak during this session? Andrew Kane, you like to speak now? Okay.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners. Andrew Kane, 2106 Lucky Drive. I won't spend too much time today as I've been vocal about some of the reservations I have and questions I've asked about the TERS. But last night I did find it interesting to read the 13-page opinion by the county attorney's office. And I saw a lot of the questions that I and other citizens had asked were raised in that little brief. One point I'd like to just highlight was blighted. Okay, if the property is blighted, then the first question I would think coming from y'all be, to what extent and what's the cost of cleanup? And we've asked that question, and no one knows what the cost of cleanup is, but it's not $46 million. Again, remind you, you'll lose control. Over $60,000 a year in local. I want you to lose control of my property tax money, please. Barbara brought it up on your post on Nextdoor, and I was happy to see it in her briefing too. If you go against your attorney's advice, you might lose your qualified immunity and therefore be responsible for your own legal fees. Beware of that. Limit the dollars going in. I haven't seen a county give a study that says we anticipate, based on this nodule study, what our participation is going to be over 25 years. The only thing I've heard to come up with 36, move to 40, 46 is take the downtown land, assuming it's only a 3% property increase, and then their development. And that would bring in $36 million at 60%. But that was done by the developer. Has the county done any study at all that says, what is the value? What's the current property values going up? It's now 3%. How much money of our taxpayer money is going to be committed to this, assuming some other development too? Because that number, when they brought the money up, it didn't say assume any development downtown. There's just their development and the 3% growth on the existing. So you always have opportunities to limit the tax dollars going in. And again, if it's blighted, she brought up the questions that we did. How much? Give us the number. Instead of writing a blank check to the city of Rockport that you have no control of for 25 years. So please read that 13-page advice from your attorney. I think it's worth listening to. I can't believe we've been having this conversation today and you're going to vote when you just got an opinion from your own legal counsel that tells you all to pump the brakes. Thank you. Sorry, I have to get to work. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeff Shostrom. And when I call your name, you could choose to speak now or wait till the item. Took me a while to look. I was like, good handwriting.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners Court. I was hoping, and looking forward to the opinion from your legal counsel, trying to figure out how Aransas County is different than the other 253 counties in the state of Texas. Unfortunately, I didn't see it. I was thinking that maybe because of the population size or because of the geographic location or whatever, but I missed it. And philosophically, we can agree on the virtues of a TERS or not. But what I found interesting as I was looking at this opinion is that there were several things that weren't identified within the opinion that I think would be helpful in the conversation. One of those is chapter 381 of the local government code. One is section 1G of article 8, the state constitution, tax code chapter 311.003.08 regarding the powers of municipality or the county. The fact that there are a number of examples of counties that have participated in TERSs across the state: Harris, Hidalgo, Fort Bend, Tarrant, just to name a few. In the first quarter of 2024, Montgomery County initiated their first ever county-initiated tax increment reinvestment zone. Hayes County has a number of examples of interlocal agreements with various TERSs within their county. On the Texas Comptroller fact sheet on TERSs, chapter 311, which is posted on the website today and was revised in 2018, it states when a municipality or county creates a TERS, a county can designate by order a contiguous geographic area within its boundaries as a reinvestment zone as part of this chapter. Allen Boone Humphreys, they have a flyer, they do webinars. It's a group that I'm familiar with in a past life. They have a document that talks about a municipality or a county can create a TERS pursuant to chapter 311, but only a city may issue bonds pursuant to the Texas Constitution. Most noticeably absent was the House Joint Resolution 99, which is ballot proposition number 2, which was voted on by the voters of the state of Texas in 2021. It passed by a 63% margin. What I was hoping was that this would be somewhere in the opine of the county attorney's office of the fact that this was done specifically to clarify the role, the opportunity of counties to participate in TERSs, and to the folks who got a way not to do the TERS, it's currently under appeal. In 2024, I couldn't find any reference to any solution, resolution, or status of what that appeal is. But I think having that information for background provides the best information for you. Tax increment reinvestment zone, good idea, good tool, viable tool. I appreciate your consideration.
Jeff,
Thank you.
yeah, go ahead and identify yourself for the record.
Sorry, Jeff Shostrom, Director, Aransas County Partnership, 4161 Highway 35.
Thank you, Jeff. Katie Jackson.
Good morning, Court. Katie Jackson, Aransas County Republican Party Chair. I'd like to remind the court that there's only two ways to decrease the tax burden on the public. Number one is decrease what you spend. Number two is increase what you can get. Okay. The county clerk gave you all my handout right before we started. I'd like to do some highlights from this because counties participating in TERS, is prevalent if you actually go look at the Texas Comptroller's website. And that's where this is from. It's his 2020 report to the legislature. He does not have the 2024 report. This is the 2022 report. He does not have his 2024 report ready. I'd like to highlight some things here that I thought were pretty interesting. There was a TERS done in Iowa Colony in Brazoria County. I'm sorry. They have a population of 16,000, so you could consider that city roughly the same size as Rockport, roughly. Okay. They did a 1,191 acre tract of residential and commercial industrial land with a TERS. The last 40 years started in 2010. In 2010, the property under consideration, once again, 1,200 acres, let's call it for fun. Its tax increment base was $2.8 million. Today, this would be 2021, so 11 years later, 263.6 million. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of taxes. Pearland is a really good example, which is on the following page. Here's land number 2. Is 3,667 acres of land, of which in 2006, some land in Fort Bend was added into that. It started at a price of 11.5 million and is now worth over 2.6 billion. It's a B, billion. Okay, so how do we decrease the tax burden on the citizens? We either spend less or bring in more. Right now, the property under consideration for this TERS is roughly bringing in, I do believe, it's assessed right now at about $7 million. I don't remember the number. So right now, the choice between in front of the court is clear. Do we want that to say $7 million for the next 20 or 25 years? Or would we like to go and make it 200 million, 300 million, a billion? It's waterfront property, it's possible. How do we decrease the taxpayer's burden? You spend less, which means firing people, providing less services, or you bring in more. The only way to bring in more of a tax base is to make it so that businesses want to come in. This shows you what the monies you can make. Nueces County is also in there, Matagorda County, Shelby County, Galveston County is in this packet. I suggest you look at it and see what kind of money you can be looking at. Because it's a lot of money. Or we can sit here with the piddly $7 million of waterfront property that could be worth a lot more if we do something with it. And this developer wants to do something with it. It's going to make the property worth a lot more. You're going to decrease the tax burden and increase services all at the same time. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Jack Wright.
Commissioner, Judge, my topic is, at this moment is a little different. I do support the TERS.
Can
I'm gonna,
Can you say your name?
Jack
For the record,
Wright,
thank you.
418 Cherry Hills. I guess I feel convenient because I know all of you and all of you know me, so my apologies. I've lived here for 28 years. My topic, however, is not about the TERS. Last year in December, 2 individuals were appointed to represent the county on the board of the Aransas County Appraisal District. I understand that you commissioners were not afforded the opportunity to either vet or vote on either appointee. A military veteran, C.J. Mosier, and a community activist, and that's the nicest phrase I'll use, named Jeff Hutt, were appointed to the Aransas County Appraisal District, but not by the 4 of you. Mr. Hutt appears to have been chosen and tasked with getting rid of the chief appraiser, Michael Soto, and he immediately set about doing so. Hutt was nominated chair by the board. His first action was to sign up for out-of-town training, and he forgot to go. Mosier confronted Hutt over the next few meetings about numerous violations of the Open Meetings Act in the first of 3-4 meetings. Mosier reportedly told Hutt that if he didn't stop the blatant violations, he would resign. The violations continued, and Mosier resigned. I truly wished he had not done so. The Aransas County Appraisal District Office has video and audio and live streaming equipment in its boardroom. Since COVID, all meetings were broadcast, recorded, and live streamed. After Mosier resigned, Hutt moved the meetings to the Aquarium Annex, where there is no video, no audio, and no live streaming. Wonder why he did that. He immediately began an intense persecution of Soto. He posted all meetings late Friday afternoon for the following Monday. He did not allow Soto to contribute to the agenda. Most agendas had language in it, such as consider the chief appraiser's future employment. I attended most meetings at the new location. I, like Mosier, observed a number of Hutt's Open Meetings Act violations. Several meetings were conducted where prior meeting minutes were not presented and approved. Hutt ignored Public Information Act requests from me and from other people. Executive sessions, closed sessions were conducted without a certified agenda and not covered in the general agenda. No reference to what section of the Open Meetings Act was going to be addressed in closed session. He brought an outside attorney to the October meeting, declared a closed session with the attorney without a stated agenda purpose. Came out of the closed session and approved a contract with said attorney, which is a serious Open Meetings Act violation. The board may only enter into closed session with its attorney or consultant of record and must quote the section of the Open Meetings Act governing the session before it is entered. They may not enter into an executive session to listen to a sales pitch. Other HUT accomplishments? No pay increases for staff in 2025 at the appraisal district. Elimination of compensatory time. And I'll just let you reference this and make the call on your own if you want. He's the most disrespectful person I have ever known, particularly towards women. Ask Rockport Fulton Independent School District Superintendent, Dr. Austin, of a conversation that Jeff had with he and Kathy Henderson, the CFO. HUD is modeling this appraisal district after the Tarrant County Appraisal District, which is embroiled in numerous lawsuits brought by the multiple school districts in that county that stand to lose valuable state funding if the suits are not settled in their favor. Sadly, Michael Soto resigned his position last week, having endured several months of unwarranted persecution. Persecution is the best word I could come up with. HUD's term on the appraisal district is up at the end of this month. I urge you, I beg you, not to consider his reappointment. There's been enough damage done already. Nobody deserves to be treated the way that Michael has, period. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. John Bell.
I'll wait until I'm done.
Okay. Karen Mella.
Good morning, Judge,
Morning.
Commissioners. I'm Karen Mella. My husband and I live at 207 Royal Oaks. We own and pay taxes on several properties in Aransas County, and we are both 100% in favor of the TERS. Over the last several months, you have heard a lot of information shared about the TERS, included many who are in favor of the TERS. Property owners, merchants, business owners, residents within the TERS zone, as well as taxpayers throughout the county, various TERS experts, and individuals that have shared their direct experience with the TERS and have given detailed examples of how successful they can be. Please give heavy consideration to this information shared with you when making your decision. You have the power to pass the TERS. It's a much needed tool to stimulate quality growth for our existing businesses, new businesses, but mostly for the residents of Aransas County. I'm asking you to please vote yes for the TERS. Thank you.
Thank you. Got Jack Wright again.
This will probably take all of 30 seconds. Jack Wright, 418 Cherry Hills, Rockport. The county attorney and the assistant county attorney have difficult jobs, to be sure. But my question is, if there's over 25 TERSs in the state of Texas and only 254 counties, there has to be a lot of counties that have multiple TERSs. I think we should be looking at how to accomplish something rather than how not to. If it can be held in the multitude of the counties that do participate, then why not us? Thank you.
Thank you. John Jackson.
John Jackson, 312 Olympic Drive, Rockport. Been here all of my life. And I've talked about this particular topic many times in favor. I'm going to make it real short today, though. I'm going to make it kindergarten. I've spoken numerous times in favor of the TERS and why I'm convinced that it is the best economic development tool for the city and all of Aransas County. Why? Because it is not entitlement based, but solely performance based, and that there is no risk to either the city or the county. The cost of the infrastructure needed and proposed will not be on the back of taxpayers, but solely the responsibility and the obligation of the developers alone. In kindergarten language, one would say, duh. And as for its legality, there are numerous legal opinions and hundreds of examples all over Texas that support why a county can join a TERS, and you will hear more about that from some very experienced attorneys as well as other developers on this controversial subject today. Commissioners and others here and listening, I firmly believe today's vote will be a pivotal point in moving this entire community forward, because I'm convinced the proposed development will be a transformation of our downtown and waterfront, which, by the way, is also part of the county. And this will be a game changer for all of Aransas County and the city. And has been said many times, this TERS is a no-brainer and a win-win for everyone: the citizens, the county, the city, the navigation district, and yes, even the school district, all of which will be funded by the developer, not the taxpayers. I'm tired of hearing people say the taxpayers are paying for this. That is not the case. So in closing, I think I will continue to stay on the kindergarten level. After all the rhetoric and the hoopla, it's just this simple. The county can choose not to participate in the TERS, and you will get zero out of it. Or if you join the TERS, millions of dollars will come into your general budget over the years. How simple can it get? Thanks.
Thank you. Benson Goebel will not be attending in person. Says Benson. Had 12 Whooping Crane.
Who is this, Your Honor?
Benson Goebel. So he's for it, he supports it. Here. Tracy Burrell puts that she will not be attending. She's for it. Christy Rutledge.
She asked for me to read her comments during the agenda item.
Okay. We'll wait for that. Derek Lean here. Says will not be here, but they strongly in favor. Barbara Gertner says she will not be here, but she is in favor. Mackenzie Vaught won't be here, but I think I got somewhere else where she's in favor. Cole Kendall will not be here and supports it. Suzanne Patterson will not be here and supports. Matt Hesley, are you here? Would you like to wait till the agenda item or now? All right.
Matt Hesley, 2003 Thule Park, Rockport. I support the interlocal agreement or the interlocal agreement and development plan for the Rockport Harbor area. I support it strongly. We've all heard from the presentations that by its very nature, a TERS enables improvement and development of a neglected area, which otherwise would just not happen. The opportunities it creates just wouldn't exist otherwise, and it's just, you can't calculate the benefits, really. Without decisive action, the harbor property, which everybody agrees is in sad shape, will just continue to break apart. What happens in 30 years? What does it look like then? Versus what it could be with some forward vision and out of the box thinking. What this space really is to me is a diamond in the rough. It can be refined into a keepsake for the community Today, we have momentum on an investment with enormous community benefits, an opportunity that Aransas County really has never seen before. In a quote that is usually attributed to Winston Churchill, a pessimist sees difficulty in every opportunity. An optimist sees opportunity in every difficulty. Opportunity doesn't knock twice. And right now, right out there, we have it right in front of us. So I respectfully urge the court to keep this momentum running on this effort with a yes vote today. Thank you.
Thank you. Michaela Alston,
Here. But I'm in favor of it.
do you want to speak? Okay. Kelly Blackwell shows they will not be here and they're in favor. Guy Weeman, 100% in favor, will not be here. Alex Harris, in favor, will not be here. David and Laura Denham will not be here. Well, they said they don't know, but they're not here. They're for it. Scott Norman will not be here and they support it. Irene Hahn will not be here, supports. John Heffron,
He will not be here. He asked me to read his.
you got one of those? Okay.
Yes, but he would like for it to be read during the agenda item.
Okay. Brandy Picton will not be here and supports. Jerry Brundrett.
I'm Jerry Brundred, 409 South Pearl, Rockport. Like Johnny, I've spent my whole life pretty much here, 76 years. I want to take a different tack. I don't want to get into all the details and legalities because I'm not qualified to this, but what came to mind early this morning, and I've watched development in this county for my whole life, but been a part of it for probably 50 years. And what I've noticed about all of these projects that we have is some people come into town and they plant and some people harvest, but we all are fed from the produce that of the seeds that are planted. One thing's for sure, if we never plant a seed, there will never be a harvest and the whole community will suffer. Most of us in this room will never see the full harvest, but we can still plant for the future. At our age, in 4 years to develop it, plus maybe another 5 years or so, we won't see the full harvest from this development. But we're planning for the future, not for the present. Also, this TERS request is a seed to be planted to feed us all in the future, not just me, but my kids live here, my grandkids live here, and I'm speaking on behalf of them too. It will help feed the whole county and not just the city. For anyone to say that the city or the county has no investment in this, they do, because the tax money will help feed the coffers of the whole county, not just the city. And the last point I wanted to make is to please help plant so that there will be a harvest to feed us all in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Marsha Reed will not be here, but supports. Liz Murray will not be here, supports. Michelle Simmons will not be here, supports. Janice Heidelman will not be here, supports. Kim Hesley, is she here? Will not be here, supports. Scarlett Embry. Deborah Stevens.
In favor.
In favor, all right. Brad Goebel.
Does he want to speak, Colin, or no? Okay.
All right, we'll give him a little bit of time. Christy Goebel will not be here, supports it. Karen Kraus will not be here, supports it. Chris Hilbert is not here and supports it. All right, those are the ones that I got from the clerk. All right, so, but Brad, he's not here. I guess he's listening, but he supports it. Brad Goebel, that was Brad Goebel. Now, some of these may be doubled. I'm gonna read them out because I don't want to leave anybody out. Scott Norman. I read it, okay. Irene Hahn, I read her, Jerry Brett, Brandy Picton, Marcia Reed, Tracy Borrell. Did you read Tracy? She's for it, won't
Yeah.
be here.
I think you do.
Christy Rutledge is in this file. Derek Leaner, I did. Robert Gertner. Walt Windows, it's in the page. I'm not sure if I read Kelly Blackwell.
You do.
Okay. Guy Wingman. Lisa Wilbanks won't be here, supports it. Janice Hadelman supports it. She won't be here. May have said that one. Got triple. Triple copy. You got John Heffron's.
Yes.
Okay, so I got through all the ones for the participation applications. Then I received some emails in my email. I'm gonna read out whether they're for it or against it. I'm not gonna read their email. Larry Helms for it. Deborah Stevens for it. Although it didn't come through, it just says, I apologize if you get this twice. You got it. Kim Hesley. Ron Wagner for it. Brad Goebel for it. Christy Rutledge, gonna read that in. Marcia Reed for it. Bill Becker for it. John Heffron, I got two of those. Those are for it's that were emailed to me. On paper. And then these are against, got Andrew Kane against, Christine Ritter against, Gary Zellers against, Judy Schrupp against, Mike Elkins against, Irene Elder against, Tamara Wren against, Roy Ware against, Judy Island against, Sam Canterbury, against. Debbie West, against. Judy Sanders, against. Nikki West, or West, against. Almost said Emily, but Bonnie Bullis, against. Kathy Kane, against. Colleen Quattlebaum, against. Colleen and Larry Harris, against. Larry Harris, against. Roseanne Elliott, against. Beverly McFadden Toops, against. Skip Carrier, against. Braun Rorix, against. And I'm not sure if this is against or for it, but from George Taggart, he just replied, "This is nuts."
I'm pretty sure I know what George thinks is nuts. I don't believe it's the TERS.
But the subject line said TERS on it. Yeah, subject line says TERS and then this is nuts. All right, so we got that going, and then I got four during the item.
And then I would also mention that Colleen Quattlebaum, Larry and Colleen Harris and Larry Harris
Are the same.
are not three different sets of people. They are the two same people.
Right. All right, we're gonna move on. Item number 1.
Prison.
Is an update? Yes. Family and community health programs updates. Let's go ahead and. Good morning.
Welcome, Megan. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, my name is Megan Glidden. I'm the Family and Community Health Agent here in Aransas County. I'm pleased to be here with all of y'all, especially in a room full of people that are passionate about our community. Makes my job easy when there's passion involved in what we do, right? So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I've done, you know, in the last year and how that's growing into my next program year. Our new program year started in September, and so you can kind of see where I'm going through August here. And so I want to talk a little bit about Healthy South Texas. I just handed you a flyer that's called State of Health for Aransas County. Healthy South Texas is an initiative that was brought about by our Texas legislature to put in health programming to 27 targeted counties in the state of Texas. Aransas County is actually known for being one of the unhealthiest counties in the state of Texas. We're actually pretty low ranked, and it's this community of counties that are in South Texas. And so I get special funding from our state to do specific targeted programming in this area. And I chose to do this programming with youth in the schools because I think change of behavior sometimes is necessary at ground level and then work our way up to adults. I've had the pleasure of working with all the schools this year. And we've had Healthy South Texas Schools designation in 3 schools this last year. So we have Live Oak Learning Center, who had their designation for the 5th year in a row. And then we added Fulton Learning Center and Rockport Fulton Middle School this last year. They received their designation. And we do this through several programs that we implement within the schools. And so the programs that we implemented were Learn, Grow, Eat, and Go Early Childhood. That's a gardening and exercise and food nutrition type program, specifically to early childhood. And then we also have Learn, Grow, Eat, and Go. Same program, just different curriculum for older kids. Mindful Self, which is teaching mindfulness to teenagers. Cooking Well with Friends, that's a course I do for teachers and staff at the school. That's a lot of fun. Walk Across Texas, Youth and Adult, that's done through all schools, as well as Dinner Tonight Junior, which is kind of an open house for parents, and parents come in and get some nutrition and some, you know, fun recipes for their kids. This program last year impacted over 2,000 youth and their families, as well as staff at all of these schools. And an accomplishment that was made this last year is RFISD SHAC committee has put extension, so our curriculum, our programming in their wellness plan. And that wellness plan kind of looks out like 3 years out. And yes.
Quickly explain to folks what SHAC means.
SHAC is a Student Health Advisory Committee, which I am on. Every school district is required to have that committee. And it's made up of parents, staff, staff, principals, and community members, that have an interest in health in the community. No problem. And then another accomplishment is RF High School will be a Healthy South Texas designated school this next year as well. So they've implemented the curriculum. So I now have the entire school district on board with what we're doing. And so we're growing that program and making sure that we're leading impacts there. And then one of my favorite parts of the Healthy South Texas initiative is we have Healthy South Texas Youth Ambassadors as part of our programming. So each of these 27 counties are required to have ambassadors. I do have one. And as part of this program, agents within this area that we live in developed something called a Healthy South Texas road trip for professional development for these youth. We got special funding from the State 4-H Foundation to do a special, road trip stop where we had extra funds to put towards the kids in Nueces County. So that's a picture down there of those kids at the Port of Corpus Christi they had a breakfast and introduction to all things port, which is, they scratched the surface on all things port, to be quite honest. They also visited the airport where they got to see the emergency helicopters and, go on those, as well as visited A&M Corpus Christi. And so the youth had a great time in that. That's something I've been doing. This road trip series has been something I've been doing with fellow agents across the Healthy South Texas counties for the last 4 years. And this was the first one we got special funding for, which was pretty exciting. And then another area in which I work is called Aransas County Children. I specifically work with the Children's Coalition of Aransas County on this effort. I'm currently the president of the executive board. And one of our biggest initiatives was the Coastal Bend Child Development Center. This last October, we celebrated our 2-year anniversary. So my role in that, besides, helping open the center, is I currently provide staff continuing development hours through AgriLife Learn. I also provide development in person when needed or as needed, or we see something that, let's address this issue or this new thing we have going on. I work with teachers to provide nutrition education to the youth. So they use, again, extension curriculum for nutrition. The current enrollment is 70 children. That's actually a little below our max that we can have. And there is a reason for that. So we focus on low income families that utilize workforce funds, and workforce is out of money. At least that's what they're telling our families. And so a lot of our families are on a wait list till next September for those funds. And that's not just our area issue, it's an entire state issue at this point. And so we're not able to serve the families that we make a priority to serve in our community. We do have some openings for paying families that pay out of pocket. But, we do like to try to focus on low income families that need that child care to have employment in their home. And I also help coordinate with the director of the annual Coastal Bend Early Childhood Professional Development Conference. In 2024, Judge Garza opened our conference and welcomed our guest. We had 124 participants. There was more people there, but those were the participants that were there garnering professional development hours. And in 2025, on February 15th, we'll have our 6th annual conference. It's called Light the Way. And we're pretty excited about that. There's a lot of buzz about it right now, so we're excited for February. And in September 2025, we have kind of sketched in on our calendar. We want to do an advocacy conference for child early childhood directors, so specifically targeted at childhood center directors or family day home directors. And when it comes to advocacy for early childhood, and we're going to call that Be a Tiger for Children.
Doesn't always work.
One more time. There we go. And I sent y'all my program summaries last month after my boss approved them. And one thing I wanted to highlight out of those program summaries was my wage-based impact for the programs that I do within early childhood development. So that's a wage-based impact. So we took the 124 participants from the early childhood conference. We took what the average pay for a early childhood teacher is, which is $31,200. And so the wage-based support of that conference was over $3 million. And then I also took the participants in my AgriLife Learn digital courses. So those are courses that have been developed by AgriLife Extension that I promote. And so teachers can go on there and garner professional development online at their own pace. And I have 200 courses that are basically taken every year through that program. I had 26 different individuals that took early childhood training courses through that this year. And so the wage-based impact of that online learning was $811,000 for a total of $4.6 million of a wage-based impact programming. And I will say that's not all Aransas County residents. Our early childhood conference does reach most of the coastal bend. And so just general FCH and what I do. One of the programs that I really like, series that I like doing, that I coordinate with the extension agent in Calhoun County is called Easily Homemade. And Miss Lissy and I, we like coming up with cooking classes that people might say, oh, that's too hard, I can't do it. And we like to show them it's a lot easier than you think. So bringing that homemade aspect back into our homes. And so this year already, since the program year started, we've done a pasta class and a tamale making class. That tamale making class, I had a wait list for it. Had 18 people. We had a lot of tamales. And then in the spring, we'll be doing sourdough and probably fermentation in late spring. I'm also on the Dinner Tonight state team. If you do not get Dinner Tonight emails, please sign up for that. They're great. You can find that at the Dinner Tonight website. They have a little spot at the top where you can sign up for emails or follow us on Facebook. And I create recipes through what I do with them. Yes. Family and Community Health. So that's my title. So this is just general, what I do in general, I guess. I'm also the director of our District 11 TAFCS Association. I will step off as director in July. I'm also on the steering committee for the State Association Conference in 2007 that will be hosted in Corpus Christi. The great thing about it being close to us is that we'll likely have some on-the-go tours that actually take us into Aransas County, and we get to show off some things we're doing here, specifically probably oyster farming being one thing we share with FCH agents, because we're big food safety geeks, and oyster farming has a lot of food safety involved with it. And that's really cool economic development that's going on in our community.
And hopefully we'll have the new aquarium by then.
Yes, that would be very exciting, because it is, we do encourage families to attend with their parents that are FCH agents. And so hopefully dads and kids are running around spending some money in our communities. I did start my PhD program at Texas A&M University, Kingsville. And so it's on educational leadership, specifically adult learning. I decided I had the pedagogy. I had EC through 12. Let's learn a little bit about adult learning and how that can be utilized in what I do, and specifically to what I do. And so I decided to jump on that train while Extension is actually paying for that. And then I have a really exciting opportunity to go to the University of Georgia in March to participate in a week-long canning and cottage food cottage food law professional development. I was chosen for that, which is very exciting for the work that I do in our community on cottage food and canning. And then, of course, not just FCH, Family and Community Health, 4-H and Youth Development are also a part of what I do. I share those responsibilities with my coworker, Ginger Easton Smith. We currently have several active projects with volunteer leaders, which is very exciting. Volunteer leaders are important to what we do, and they really truly make an impact on our programming. I have 2 youth participating in the district food show tomorrow. They're pictured up top. I'm very excited for their participation. They did a great job at county, and youth are preparing for a homemaking competition at the annual A&H show that's held in Senton. So you'll be getting a schedule for that to come visit. And then our consumer education youth that are, it's basically learning how to shop smartly. We have 3 teams registered for the San Antonio Livestock Expedition. There's a contest there. And then a little bit outside the family community health umbrella, I also have a lot of the sport fishing and marine stuff that's kind of been under my umbrella through my association with Flatsworthy. We just had our Marine Expo, our very, very first one that was hosted in this county. The group of youth down at the bottom were our participants. They were from all over South Texas. I helped plan this event with the 4-H agent in Calhoun County. It was supported by the Sea Grant agents in Calhoun and Aransas County. And it was an overnight at Camp Aransas Zoo. Youth had a skimmer tour of oyster farms and restoration projects. They saw whoopers, which was pretty exciting. They had a college and career fair in the evening with people that worked in the industry. So we had Port of Corpus Christi oyster farmers. We had colleges. It was really wonderful. And we're really excited to do that event again in another 2 years. So that will be on even years. And then our sport fishing day, which y'all have heard about before, that will be coming up in July 2025. Sport fishing day is specifically for younger youth in 4-H. So we're talking 3rd through 7th grade, where Expo is for older kids in 4-H, 8th through 12th. And I believe this might be it. Do y'all have any questions?
Megan, I don't know how you do it, but you're a superwoman.
Oh,
and I'm
thank you.
glad you're here.
I love being here.
I can
I love it. I think our community is so unique and has a lot to offer our youth and adults. And a couple of things, 4-H does have a display at Christmas on the Beach. So if you haven't been to Christmas on the Beach, please go. And the Children's Coalition is doing their annual Santa's Workshop next week. If you need some volunteer time, we would love people to come help wrap gifts. If you-
Well,
Right.
especially considering that Diane Nielsen, who's been such a champion
Yes,
for early childhood education and helping the families, fell and is laid up now for
Yes.
several weeks.
Yes.
So they desperately need help with gift wrapping.
yes, for sure. And speaking of Children's Champion, Commissioner Rousseau was our Children's Champion in 2024, and we're very pleased for the work that she's helped us do with youth of Aransas County. So. I know. I just love working in this community. It's really brought me into its fold, and January will be my 6th year, started my 6th year here. So I'm just glad to be able to work with great employees like Ginger over there and our program assistant, our program assistant, Gay Root. Thank you for letting us have her. She is amazing, and I truly can't ask for a better county to work in. All right.
Well, I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all.
We're going to take a short recess. Give me about 8 minutes, maybe 10. All right, we are now back in open session. Continue the meeting. Before we get to the consent agenda, I got some little bit of tidying up to do. So number 17. I'm gonna strike that and move it to the next meeting. One of the representatives or any of the representatives could not make it today. That's gonna be struck. And then number 20, I'm gonna move to hear that after the consent agenda because my facilities director needs to get to work. So, all right, I'll entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda with a slight correction on the minutes of the meeting for November 25th. And I've spoken to the county clerk about this, just that on item number 12, the motion to approve by Commissioner Cheney, motion seconded by Commissioner, that commissioner is not identified, and we can approve this and then she'll insert that correct name later.
Yes. Got a motion and a second. Before we vote, I do want to acknowledge donations. So for donations for Aransas County Animal Care, we've got an anonymous donation of $7. Laura McCorkle donated 25. Noel Maiska donated $117.97. Todd Kosian donated in the amount of $148.68. Elma Valdez donated $100. Gary Sanders donated $50. Pat Elder donated a gift card in the amount of $10. And also donation. This is accepting donations. We've got donations of books in the memory of Elaine Albin. And it's a total of $460 from Vicky Pitlock. If I pronounce that right, I'm sorry.
That's right.
Susan Austin, Rita Gilbert, Martha Pearson, Diane Rome, Sarah Baldwin, Mary Lynn Rhodes, Janet Sutter, Revocable Trust, and and that's my name. All right.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo.
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick.
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye. Consent agenda passes 5-0. And we'll hear item number 20. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve updated job description for public facilities and maintenance full-time administrative assistant. Be no new monies.
I second that.
Got a motion and a second? Mr. Butler?
Please come to the mic.
This was a position that was approved during this year's budget to fill a position open for 2025. And basically all we did was make it full-time versus the part-time.
Renee, I have
ma'am.
just a quick question on that. Under acceptable experience and training, you have proficient in MS Outlook, Word, and Excel. A lot of places aren't using Outlook anymore. Do we still use Outlook?
In some areas, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo.
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick.
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Renee. Move on to item number 7.
I'm going to approve third quarter report for Rockport.
Got a motion and a second. Morning.
Good morning, everyone. So correction, it's actually the fourth quarter that I'm going to be presenting. It's the last quarter of the fiscal year. And yeah.
Identify yourself.
Oh, sorry. My name is Alyssa Massengill I'm the tourism coordinator for the Rockport Fulton Chamber of Commerce and Visitor Center. Okie dokes. So I know there's a long agenda, so I'll kind of go through everything a little quickly, but thoroughly. As we see here, I am going to talk about our Hummerbird. That was like a huge event that we had for September in our fourth quarter. That was at our, what is it called? Our public site for bird banding for the Hummerbird. So it was a great experience for everyone. Oh. Okay, so we're going to start off. So for the tax revenue collection for the first 9 months, it is down about 7% from 2023. So that was pretty sad to kind of see. But when we break it down by month wise, just coming out. If we break it down month wise, so July and August were down significantly, but September was a huge jump from 26,000. It was a huge jump from 2023, but not as much as 2022. But it was a great jump from last year, from 55 to 81. I would love to think that, I mean, it is going to be Hummingbird and all the other events that we had during September. It was a huge success for Hummingbird this year. I do want to take a moment to thank the Aransas County Airport for letting us use their hangar. That was perfect in a time of need since the school was under construction. It was very hot, but they accommodated us so well, and we just cannot thank them enough for it. And especially our volunteers during that weekend, passing out water and everything like that. So we just thank them so much for that. It was actually pretty great. I heard from a few of the vendors for our after review that they've actually done better than they have in the past few years being at the airport. So we may be looking to do it more at the airport. Hopefully not as hot.
We'll talk, right?
We'll see. So that was pretty great. And nextly, we're going to be looking, this is going to be the attendance that we have coming into our visitor center. I just wanted to highlight the most important aspect, which is the tourism that is beyond 70 miles. So we've seen about 70% through July, August, and September have been outside of 70 miles, with 32% of that being outside of Texas. Most of those came through September, of course, because of Hummingbird and everything like that. So for Hummingbird, we had about 5,000 or 5,500 visitors come from outside of 70 miles. So that was wonderful to see. And then the rest were within that.
Alyssa, I would
Yes.
just mention, and you can check this later, those are great figures. I'm excited to see that too.
Uh-huh.
But on San Antonio, when you have your fourth quarter average, I think that
Oh.
maybe should be 10%, not 1%.
Yeah, sorry.
Which is much better. A 10% is much better than 1%.
Yes, definitely. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Okay, and this is going to be the fourth quarter heads and beds. So for the fourth quarter, we put about 959,000 heads and beds. So that is really great to see. And then I did add in here the advertising we did for our fourth quarter. So in July, we spent about 37,000 in advertising, which was with Texas Highways, Texas Parks and Wildlife, Tour Texas, which was on the e-newsletter. And then we had our billboards, and then we did a couple commercials through Spectrum and streaming. And then on to August, we didn't do too much. We were in Tour Texas for the e-newsletter again. And then, of course, our billboards. And then finally, September, we did Go Texas. We did a sponsorship, destination sponsorship. And then for Punch Drunk, we just did our ad agency strategies, and we only spent about 7,000 or 7,700 on that. And thank you so much for your time. For the fourth quarter, we did not spend any advertising through the hot tax from the county. Do y'all have any questions? Thank you so much.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Motion passes 5-0. Item number 8.
Acknowledge update from Cody Stewart regarding the recent Warbirds over South Texas event, which occurred at the Aransas County Airport, November 15th through the 17th, 2024.
Do I have a second?
It's
Second.
not a motion.
Oh, it's not a motion. All right, we're just acknowledging.
We're just gonna
Thank you.
see.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you for the invitation to share what we did last month at the Aransas County Airport. It was a really exciting weekend. I'm pretty sure I saw most of y'all out there that weekend, so thank you for your attendance. Oops. Touchy. So this was our third branded Warbirds over South Texas event. The Aransas County Commissioners took a chance on Axe Aviation back in 2020 to start hosting local fly-ins, and we have grown to events like this. But this was our third actual branded as Warbirds over South Texas. Through y'all's partnership and sponsorship, we were able to do another free event. So we all thank you, Commissioners, for approving that for us. We strategically scheduled this event around Veterans Week. And to highlight veterans not only in Aransas County but in the Coastal Bend. This was the first time we've had a 3-day event, the third day being that Friday strategically for Education Day. When we accomplished 500 plus students between high schools, middle schools, private schools, and homeschools. I know when we talk about hot funds and trying to get people down here for tourism, I want to highlight, I met a lady that brought 3 children that she homeschools from Lavernia. They came down just for the Education Day. So not only attracting tourists, but we're bringing in homeschoolers from far reaches of Texas, like San Antonio and Houston, which was pretty exciting that we weren't expecting that. The students got to, and I got another slide on this, but 500 kids was pretty awesome. I have to thank local people like Jerry Brundrett, who came out and shared history of what the airport's done, especially around like the radar dome that we had in the 50s and all the things we have here. And I just didn't know about that. So the whole community got involved with Education Day, which was pretty cool. We got to show local history. We had some other strategic partnerships this year with Lexington. They had an event for our flyover Saturday midday where we took 26 historical airplanes on a show around the Lexington and back. And the next day, most of the people that we surveyed were either at the Lexington or saw it on Ocean Drive, and they came to Aransas County the next day on Sunday. So we were clicking on all cylinders as far as metrics. And that's what we're going to get into. Next slide. So overall, the 3 days, we did our best, and I have to commend our attendance admissions tent to try to get as much data from people walking in, but it was kind of a free-for-all come Saturday midday. But overall estimates, we hit our 10,000 people goal in attendance. 2,000 on Friday, which includes all those kids and parents and teachers, 7,000 for Saturday and 1,000 for Sunday. We were bit by the weather bug on Sunday. There was a big front coming in Dallas, Fort Worth, and West Texas to where those airplanes that came from those areas had to get home on Saturday. And then we had a cell over Houston that caused other highlighted aircrafts to go home. So it turned into what we're known for, kind of a local flying on Sunday, but we got to concentrate on kids and free flights, EAA programs and that, but we still had 1,000 people show up on Sunday, which was pretty awesome. We use hot funds to concentrate on our target areas, which was San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, and of course, Corpus MSAs. We have winter testings coming in, so we had people survey from Idaho, Minnesota, and Maine, which was pretty cool. So winter Texans are here. But we I got with Jatine, and between the Hampton Inn, Fairfield Inn, and La Quinta, we saw a 32% increase in heads and beds that night, those 3 hotels. And we surveyed 446 total hotel nights, and that's Airbnbs and everything else and above. So like I said, we did our best, but that's the best increase we've seen from our solo event to date. And then where we used majority of the hot funds from the county was on our online and social media campaigns. And I think we did a really, really good job with the funds that we had from the Ramsey County Hot Funds. 254,700 people reviewed on our Facebook page and advertising posts. 123,900 for what we call our bolt-on pages. That's my personal page, Axe Aviation pages, and other local businesses that sponsored with us. So going to the Warbirds over South Texas page, and then everybody else sharing beyond that. We almost had 5,000 people respond going or interested on the Facebook page, actual event page. And then we had over 16,000 views on the website within 90 days. And a lot of those went to the pre-ride sold section of the website. All of the operators that came that sold rides almost sold out by midday Saturday, which is our game plan. Is what makes it look like an air show is when you have a B-25, a P-51, and two T-6s taxiing out together to, take people for rides. For the fifth grader on the ground, it looks like an air show. It was really, really cool. But
Grown-ups think it's an air
Yeah,
show.
for me, it looked like an air show. Yeah.
well, I'm still a 12-year-old, so. So these are our highlighted aircraft that made it to the event. A lot of y'all remember the Devil Dog B-25, which is that top left airplane, the P-51, but we had some special airplanes this year. The top right is the Helldiver. That is one of 3 in the world that are flying. So then we have the Southern Cross C-47, and this is the first time, and Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the first time we have been able to get the Navy to waiver their ability to land at the Aransas County Airport. So we actually had 2 Navy jets land for Education Day on Friday, and they came back with 1 on Saturday. So we busted through a pretty good glass ceiling with the U.S. military so we can get their assets here and prove that we can, not only get them here safely, but we can keep them on the ground per their specifications and have them depart safely per their regulations. And then we also had the Coast Guard. They brought 2 helicopters for Education Day. They actually did the demonstration for the students on Friday. And they came back static for Saturday. So, like I said, this is kind of the highlight. It's fun to get around these airplanes as an air show, but it was about the kids. So between 5 high schools, 3 elementary schools, 3 middle schools, 2 elementary, and then private schools and homeschoolers. We had a bunch of kids out there. They got to see not only the airport facilities and how a local airport runs, they got to see aircraft demonstrations, not just from the Coast Guard, but from the historical airplanes that flew that day, career seminars, and then, of course, the history that I said earlier. And then we awarded $2,000 in scholarships to 2 young ladies in partnership with Airplanes and Coffee and the Wasp Museum. The Wasp Museum is also something that happened that was special, is they brought a whole campaign down from the museum in Sweetwater to showcase women in aviation and participate in those scholarships. And so we're not just doing a really good flying, we're bringing in some quality assets from other museums like the Lexington Wasp Museum, and that type of thing.
And the Wasp Museum is over around Lubbock someplace.
Yes,
So they came quite a ways.
they came quite a ways. And they were thrilled and they're ready to come back. Any other questions on Education Day? So I want to throw this up there. We couldn't do a free event, one, without the partnership of the commissioners in Aransas County, City of Rockport, but I look behind me, there's a lot of people, both with organizations and then individually, that supported this show. And we cannot thank you enough. And we hope that you'll support us in 2025, which is on our next items to come back to the Commissioners Court to get approval for our 2025 event, because we want to keep the snowball running downhill if y'all allow us. So thank you for the opportunity.
It's a great event.
Thank you, Cody. Oh, don't have to vote. Item number 9.
Approve the participation of Aransas County in an interlocal agreement with the City of Rockport regarding the tax increment reinvestment zone, TERS number 1. Such an agreement will be written with knowledgeable counsel to include a split of 50% to county's general fund, 50% to the TERS fund of incremental revenue from ad valorem taxes brought into the TERS by new development initiated from development plans approved by the TERS board. County requests to be represented by a minimum of 2 seats on the 7-member board.
I will gladly second that motion.
Got a motion and a second. Then we got people who'd like to be heard.
Okay, so I will first try to find Christie's. Here. All right. Christie Rutledge, 1411 Dana Drive. Commissioner Russo, I've completed online public participation forms for today's meeting, but will not be attending in person. Can you please read my statement? So here begins her statement. Thank you for adding agenda item number 9 to discuss and approve an interlocal agreement to be written by qualified legal counsel, named in agenda item number 17 for the county's participation of 50% of the tax increment in the city of Rockport's TERS. I support the TERS because this is a great plan to install infrastructure and establish public access to the waterfront without adding new taxes. I'm in favor of the county submitting a request for 2 members on the 7-person TERS board, and I encourage Rockport to accept this request. I'd like for Commissioner Russo to be selected to represent the county on the TERS board. However, I ask that commissioners take precautions and specify in your motion today that any representatives from the county for the duration of the county's participation in Rockport's TERS must be selected and approved by a majority of commissioners. I'm hopeful this opportunity for Aransas County and Rockport to work together on the TERS will facilitate unity and renew a shared vision and enthusiasm for the future of our community. Best regards, Christie Rutledge. I also have a letter from John Heffron. Just see if I can find that. Okay. John Heffron, 208 Champions Drive, Rockport. Said he's for the church. Okay. Dear Commissioner Russo, I submitted the attached public comment for this Monday's meeting on the TERS. I'm sending it to you via email because I'm afraid my comment was truncated by the county's submission system. Below is the comment I submitted in full. As a lawyer familiar with Chapter 311 of the Texas Tax Code, I disagree with the Assistant County Attorney's legal opinion on the TERS. Attorney John D. Bell in Corpus Christi, who is board certified and specializes in government law, has made the following key points. I quote from an email he recently sent on the subject. Number 1, the Tax Increment Financing Act was enacted more than 40 years ago and specifically authorizes counties in Texas to participate in tax reinvestment zones. Number 2, nothing in the law requires the county to own any particular assets in a reinvestment zone. In fact, for zones located within the city limits, it would be very unusual for a county to own any streets or other public infrastructure being built within that zone. Number 3, Section 311.008 of the Act specifically gives counties the power to participate in zones and approve project plans to construct needed infrastructure within a zone, even if none of those infrastructure projects ultimately will be owned by the county. Ownership of anything by the county is not a condition of participation in any way. Number 4, the county will have control by negotiating a contract specifically setting out the project plan, what will be built with the tax increment funds, and where it will be built. The funds cannot be used for any other purpose. The county also will have representatives on the TERS board for closer management of the project, but anything not covered by the contract would have to go back to Commissioner's Court for approval. Number 5, the public benefit is developing a vacant, deteriorated property that generates 0 tax revenues from improvements into a project that will generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in tax revenues from those improvements and will generate additional millions of dollars in additional economic activity in the city and county. That also generates additional tax revenues to the county. That was from John Bell, Wood, Boykin, and Walter. Then John Heffron's concluding message is, I've also sent this email to the other commissioners and the judge. I thank you for considering my comments. Best regards, John Heffron. I do see the county attorney up here. I know that she had, or her assistant had, quite a lengthy statement regarding this, but I would like to hear from some of the public, and I have some other information that I would like to bring forth first before we hear from the county attorney.
Actually, I have something different to say than
Okay.
my assistant,
Before
so
we start discussion, can I get through the four other?
absolutely.
That's what I was gonna ask you. Keith Barrett.
Keith Barrett, citizen of Aransas County. I've been thinking about this TERS for a while, and I've attended all of the different workshops. I think my mind is swayed from early on being against to now being very much for. What I wanted to say is at one point in Aransas County, Aransas County Navigation District Commissioners went out and pursued a permit for Rockport Beach to build and dredge. There was many naysayers at the time that was being considered. You are in a similar position. But who now, as Jerry stated, the seeds that were planted then, only now are we seeing the full fruit that was developed from that development of that property. This property will be no different, and including the zone that the TERS incorporates. If we don't do that, what will our future be? Well, I will tell you right now, because of the position I'm in, I get to see the numbers. The beach numbers for attendance has plateaued. The numbers for the Seafair has plateaued. The numbers for the art festival has plateaued. All of these different things, we've kind of reached a critical mass. If we don't do something different, if we don't expand our attraction base, I guess you would say tourism-based economy will get stagnant. The numbers prove that. That piece of land, those acres, will be a new, something new for people to see, an adventure, to plan, to come see our community, and in turn entice other growth, other development, and just pumping money into our economy. That's really what I wanted to say is, if we don't continue to grow, then we're basically stagnant or dying. So this piece of land that's lied dormant for so long has an opportunity to be that next shot in the arm. Who would say we'd want to go back like we were 50 years ago? Well, this is our chance. Most of us in this room are 50 or north of 50. We probably won't see the total fruits of your vote, but I think our children and grandchildren will, and future generations that live in our community will. And that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you.
And actually, I think I want to say something briefly that I think is pertinent before we get on to the other ones. Since the posting date for our agenda items is Friday morning, over the weekend, I did spend a significant amount of time looking into other things, and I'm going to withdraw our legal opinion for consideration. And there are some other concerns as to the should and concerns that you all had that I will address later after the other public comments, but I wanted to make that clear before the other public comments.
Thank you, Amanda.
We got Scarlett. Or John, you want to go first? All right.
Good morning. My name is John Bell. I'm an attorney in Corpus Christi, 13750 Primavera Street in Corpus Christi, and represent Sunray LLC, which is the proposed developer for this project. I'd like to briefly address two different issues. One, the legality of the county's participation in TERS. And then secondly, why you as commissioners should at least consider sitting down with the city and seeing if an agreement might be worked that could achieve your objectives as well as the city's objectives in developing this piece of property. First, on the legality issue, and I think the county attorney might have conceded that it is legal for a county to participate in a TERS. The arguments expressed actually came from Attorney General Mark White opinion back in 1979, or 81 rather, on the first iteration of the TERS statute that was not workable because it had no constitutional authority about the distinction between county funding. And so we didn't do any TERSs with that until 1981. The voters in Texas approved a constitutional amendment so that cities could establish as TERS. And Chapter 311 of the tax code specifically provided a mechanism for counties to participate with cities in a TERS. And that's been going on for more than 40 years. And we've done many of those. At the end of the memo, it says, oddly enough, the Attorney General recognized that a county can participate in a TERS set up by a city, but then it doesn't recognize that that's counter to the statement in the memo that it's illegal for you to do so. And in fact, if you want a reality check on this, there are hundreds of TERSs in Texas with county participation. You can simply click on any one of them and see how much money from county revenues are being contributed to any one of the different TERSs in Texas because the law requires everyone to report annually to the comptroller what's there. And lastly, on this issue that was brought up that a county cannot take a lead in establishing an TERS, that was an Attorney General opinion about 10 years ago, but the legislature responded to that by having Proposition 2 approved by the voters, amending the Texas Constitution in 2021 so that counties specifically can take a lead in establishing a TERS and even issuing bonds secured by TERS revenues. Next, I'd like to talk a little bit about why you should consider doing a TERS. As an old guy who completed my 7th decade around the solar system
But not as a
recently,
lawyer. You haven't been a lawyer
No,
for 7 decades.
but
You're younger than
I
that,
can
John.
tell you that I go back to before TERS. And cities and counties had the problem of if we build it, they will come. Or if we build it, maybe they'll come. And that you could have a tract of property like this that needed infrastructure, needed streets, needed drainage, needed utilities, needed erosion control, such as bulkheads. And it would be sitting dormant for 20 years. And you could say, you know, we could take $5 million of tax money and improve this property so it would be shovel ready for a developer to put a $20 million, $40 million, $50 million improvement on it. And could we get a return on our investment of $5 million over the next 10 years with new tax revenues from that $20 million or $50 million worth of improvements? And cities and counties would take that risk by building that public infrastructure and seeing if the tax revenues generated by private developers would then build would give them a payback, and that would be a proper return on investment. The magic of a tax increment financing plan is it takes all that risk and puts it on the developer. Now, I was shocked to read in the memo that said, well, when this development fails, the county will lose all this money. In law school, I was not taught how to predict what a private development might do. And I don't think any of us can do that. But in the in quite a few TERSs that I've done, I have to be honest with you, some of them have been successful and some of them have failed. But I can tell you that in the ones that failed, the only party that lost any money out of the deal was the developer. Because in a TERS, the governmental entity gets guaranteed the base tax value that's coming in. And this property, you've gotten the same tax values coming in for years because it's vacant property and it's not used for development. Even if the revenues don't materialize to the extent anticipated by all the pro formas, the person who takes that shortfall is the developer, not the county or the city. You will have continued receiving all the base year value, and you're going to be getting part of the new value. It just might not be as much, but it's still going to be new value that you had zero outlay in order to do it. So all the risk is on the developer. And so I would encourage you to take the opportunity to at least sit down with the city and see if you can negotiate a contract that will will reach your objectives as well as the city's objectives. And taking this piece of property that's been nothing for many years and could continue to be nothing for many years in the future, unless there's an ownership change and somebody picks up the ball and tries to run with it, which my client is ready to try to do. Thank you very much. I'd be
Thank you,
happy to
Tim.
answer any questions you might have.
Not at this time.
Okay.
Thank you. Scarlett? Scarlett Embry.
The developer is going to take the risk.
Good morning. I'm Scarlett Embry, 1411 South Magnolia Street. Judge Garza, County Commissioners. First, I want to thank you for your time and effort in considering the important opportunity you have in front of you to participate in the City of Rockport's TERS. Now that you have hosted 3 county public workshops, there have been almost 3 years held by the city to educate the public on a TERS. Now is the time to take the important step forward and vote yes for the county to join the TERS. A TERS is governed by Chapter 311 of the Texas Tax Code. And since we all feel confident, I hope by this point, that the county can in fact legally participate in a TERS. And we also know that there are at least 70 or more counties that are currently participating in TERSs in Texas. I would like to talk about some of the TERS basics as well as important steps in the process. A TERS does not reimburse or pay for private condos. A TERS does not raise taxes. A TERS is the establishment of the area in which private developers have a tool that incentivizes them to invest into public infrastructure. Developers like us will take on the risk to build both the public infrastructure as well as to build the tax generating improvements that create those reimbursements. A percentage of the future tax revenues from a project will be allocated for the infrastructure reimbursements after the public infrastructure is approved and conveyed to the city. In the Rockport TERS, no developer is getting any money upfront to start their projects. There is a strict legal process that must be followed. Every developer, TERS board, and city council member must follow the law to the T in this process. The project and reimbursement schedules go through 2 rigorous stages of approval: approval by the TERS board and approval by city council. These are the laws and no one can skirt them. The tax code is explicit about the process and about what costs can be reimbursed and what cannot be reimbursed. That cannot be changed. The ultimate development agreement that has yet to be drafted will comply with all state laws, including any procurement requirements. In addition, developers like us will, on their own accord, get multiple competitive bids for every aspect of the construction, including the infrastructure, because of the long payback schedule. It is in the best interest of developers to preserve cash upfront and get best value bidding. It is part of Development 101. In downtown Rockport, we need infrastructure upgrades. There's drainage to fix, streets to repair, and storm surge flood prevention that could be installed by building a new bulkhead. Downtown merchants also largely support the TERS, many of whom sent their statements in today. We have a contaminated, blighted property that with a TERS can be cleaned up and transformed into a waterfront destination for locals and visitors alike. All of this new public infrastructure will be the springboard for development to occur and for generating future tax revenues. You have a project and a developer right in front of you that is willing to put the money up front to build a large part of that needed infrastructure. If you walk away from this opportunity, our project won't happen. It can't happen without the TERS because no investor or bank will lend us or anyone the money to fix this property and build this much public infrastructure without a TERS being able to reimburse them on the back end. The numbers just don't work. 20 years ago, in 2004, a developer with a very thoroughly designed plan walked away from his contract to develop the harborfront because he couldn't get a TERS to pass. His opposition said the harborfront development would occur naturally without it, so public financing wasn't needed. He walked away. And as I shared last time, there have been multiple other developers who tried and failed to develop it since then. Let's take action today and not let another 20 years go by with a fence around that blighted vacant field. With the TERS, the harborfront will become an extension of downtown with public streets and public spaces. This isn't private property infrastructure we're talking about. It's public infrastructure that we want to build. Our downtown waterfront that so badly needs it. And lastly, even with the TERS reimbursements, projections look fantastic for future county tax revenue off of this property. So how can we make the county go from $25,000 a year in tax revenue to over $1 million in tax revenue without raising taxes or issuing debt? By joining the TERS and working with developers like us who will be committed to making this vision become a reality. Please vote yes for the TERS and take a stand with me for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. And then I missed one. Charles Duffley. Last one.
Good morning. I'm Charles Duffley. I'm at 112 Lance Lane in Victoria, Texas. You guys might ask, what is somebody from Victoria doing in Rockport?
Yep.
Well, I am a coastal developer. I've been part of Cinnamon Shore for the past 15 years. I have another development on Mustang Island, but more importantly, what I really wanted to talk to you about, because there's a little bit of shift in what I originally wanted to say to you this morning, is what some key learnings on the development that I have on North Padre Island that are extremely similar to what you guys are facing. So North Padre Island, obviously, as you guys know, is part of Corpus. It sat in a time capsule, is what I call it, for well over 20 years. And the old Padre Island Country Club that turned into the Slitter Bond that went bust, I was asked by the bank to come in and help assess what they could do with that property. And we developed a plan, and it was, really fundamentally, it was a plan that was obviously private public funding. And the reason for that, as you guys can appreciate, is to get coastal development at the magnitude of what this developer wants to do and what I think this county and what this city would want. It's very, very difficult to attract that developer. And the reality is that we sit, with over 20 million Texans 4 hours away in a car ride. Okay. And when you think about a San Antonio or Houston or Austin, and if you're a developer in any one of those cities, and you can go spend $4 or $5 million on a piece of property and develop it, you have a return, right? What you face, obviously, in a market like this is tremendous seasonality, right? And a return that is a much greater risk, right, as the developer and the investor. So what they're going to do 9 times out of 10 is they're going to stay in their backyard unless they're incentivized. And the reality is that the TERS, as you've heard, is one of those vehicles that has happened. And on North Padre Island, what the bank was able to do, what we were able to do through the TERS too, is we were able to establish, it had already been established for over 20 years, but through the renewal process, we were able to expand that territory. And today, that territory is projected to generate over $300 million in new taxes for the city and county. So the infrastructure cost for that particular development was about $30 million. So the amount of money that can be generated through this vehicle, and you might say, well, that's Corpus and everything else, excuse me, but that TERS is for the island. I mean, it's for a 228 acre area, and the population of North Padre Island is 25,000 people. So there's a lot of similarities to that development and what you guys are looking at today. So I just strongly encourage you guys to look at this from a county perspective. I've worked really, really closely with Connie Scott, with Brent Chesney to develop the plan that took place, because you have to have a strong project plan, obviously. And with that, you have to have a strong finance plan. And those have to be done in collaboration. They're not done in a vacuum. Again, all of those plans are brought directly to you guys. You vote on it. So it's not like, oh, somehow your money is being, or, the taxpayers' money is being stolen. I mean, you guys determine how those funds are being used and what projects you're willing to participate in. So I just strongly encourage you guys to look at this as an opportunity to encourage not just this developer, but other developers to come in behind them, because that's what will happen with this, is that this will snowball. Once you get this one developer, it will show that you've got a community that is willing to invest and help de-risk that. And that's how you're going to attract other developers. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Amanda, did you have one?
I'm short. So as previously discussed in the workshops, it has been established, obviously, that counties can create tiers. And you all talked about that while you were in the workshops. And you raised some concerns about the county participating in this particular tiers that the city has created. So about having a voting minority, because the city has already created their documentation on how they want this to be formed. It's already been passed by the city, and as of right now, the county would only have one seat on the decision-making process. And I know that in your vote, you want to ask the city for 2.
Minimum of 2.
Okay, and so my suggestion would be, if you are wanting to change how this is set up, you need to go into a negotiation with the city rather than voting to join and then asking politely for more than what is already established. That is my suggestion. And the correct way to join this agreement is through an interlocal agreement. I know that there was a lot of discussion at workshops on how these are formed and how to move forward, but if you are to join, it needs to be an interlocal agreement. So
I believe that's what the agenda item says.
right. But there was some back and forth, I think, at some of the workshops from some members of the city and other people. So I think if you are hoping that they are going to change documents that they have already created and voted on, I think it's best that you move forward negotiating that before you agree to join, rather than putting yourself in a position where you don't have anything to negotiate with. And I think we all wish the city itself the best of luck in this project. And we all hope that it is a great success, whether the county participates in it or not, whether the navigation district decides to participate or not. But we also need to say, if we are going to have any sort of say in what happens, only having one person on the board obviously does not benefit the county as much as it would to have 2 or more seats. But if you're hoping for them to change what has already been voted on, it's probably not going to happen just by asking politely. You're probably going to need to get that change in writing before you vote to join.
What seems to be what the agenda said.
From the city. She means from the city.
From the city.
Just saying that
Oh.
if it's talking about doing an interlocal with the city, which I would assume that you could
So,
put just
we
what
would-
you're talking about in
Yeah,
there.
just make sure
can't.
that you address that properly, and not that you're just joining, but you're making sure that you're joining under conditions that some things be changed, okay?
All right.
I just want to
Thank
make sure. Okay, thanks.
All right. Was there someone else who signed up?
No.
No?
Well,
Okay.
I would say the only objection I have is I don't think the county should put as much as 50% into the program.
All right. What I would, and thank you for that, Commissioner Castellan. What I would like to present, and thank you, Mr. Bell, for being here. I was going to refer to your letter, but you have certainly been able to refer to your letter very fine without my doing it. I also would like to refer to an email that I received from a gentleman named Frank Alvarez. Mr. Alvarez works for the Texas Controller of Public Accounts in the Data Analysis and Transparency Division, a word we hear a lot about here in the county. Some of us actually practice transparency. And Mr. Alvarez is over transparency transparency, and property tax incentives. He actually is the gentleman to whom all TERS reports go, city, county, whatever. And Mr. Alvarez comments, hello, Commissioner Russo. Yes, counties can and always have been permitted to participate in a TERS as long as some other taxing unit, typically a city, was the lead taxing unit in creating the TERS. You can find this by going to our TERS zone database, and he gives the link, which I have looked at that several times. You can also go to the 2022 biennial reports and older ones and do a search for county. The last 2/3 of that report will display counties that were or are participating in a TERS. And I did print out a list, but we have established how many TERS are held by counties. As of 2022, there were 61 that had active TERS. 61 separate counties in Texas. They may have more than one TERS, but 61 separate counties. So certainly they can be done. If anybody would like a copy of that, I have it. Where the attorney may have been confused was the fact that there were 2 AG opinions prohibiting a county from initiating and creating a TERS, which can only be done by the lead taxing unit for reasons stated by your attorney. However, this changed as a result of the passage of the 2021 House Joint Resolution 99 and the voters' approval of ballot proposition number 2, thereby now allowing counties to be the lead taxing unit in creating a TERS. You can read paragraphs 3 and 4 on the 2024 TERS Biennial Executive Summary Report. Hope this helps. Merry Christmas. I do not know that gentleman, but he certainly has enough knowledge that I can take his word. I also received copies of a couple of agreements between cities and counties that set forth the interlocal agreements. I also spoke, and several members of the court and others may know this gentleman, Cameron County Commissioner for Precinct 3, David Garza. I think he's been on Commissioner's Court since 1990. He also oversees economic development for Cameron County. Cameron County has a large number of TERS. I can't even tell you how many, but he tells me that they can specify in their interlocal agreements the different percentages, the different approval processes, how many years they will put in. So they may say 100% for the first 5 years of the TERS, and then maybe 50% for the remaining years, or they set a dollar amount and they say, when this amount goes into the TERS account, the county is pulling back out. We will no longer participate in every additional dollar revenue generated by development within that TERS will go full force to the county. So believe me, it's a complicated process. I'm not even pretending that I would know how to do that, but we have people who can do that. So that establishes that it is legal, and I do appreciate county attorney's comments before we began all of this. Now, as to qualifying, under section 311.005, criteria for reinvestment zone. To be designated as a reinvestment zone, an area must, number 1, substantially arrest or impair sound growth of the municipality or the county designating the zone, or retard the provision of housing accommodations, or constitute an economic or social liability, and be a menace to the public health, safety, morals, or welfare in its present condition and use because of the presence of, and then subsection B, predominance of defective or inadequate sidewalk or street layout, subsection D, unsanitary or unsafe conditions, subsection E, deterioration of site or other improvements, subsection H, conditions which endanger life or property by fire or other cause. And I know that comments have been made by a few that this is not blighted property, excuse me. This is harborfront property. This is tremendous developmental property. I have been in this area for almost 40 years, and I have not seen tremendous development property along that harbor front. What I see is a fence that keeps people away. So it certainly qualifies to be in the zone. Secondly, the comment has been made that no one has proved that there's any contamination. No one has proved that it's blighted. Well, the developers who are proposing this project actually arranged for a phase 2 environmental site assessment and site condition summary to be done by a firm. This was done at the end of this summer. The firm they hired is an international company headquartered in Houston. I think they know a little something about what's blighted. They are a full-service environmental consulting and engineering firm, PEI. They position themselves to provide innovative, timely, sustainable management and engineering solutions to environmental challenges facing the world today. This is from their website. The focus of PEI is service with an emphasis on responsiveness, quality, and cost effectiveness. So they did a site assessment and gave a review that said there are approximately 1,200 linear feet of bulkhead with creosote wood that is deteriorating and needs to be removed and replaced. Creosote wood contains preservation chemicals that are harmful to the environment, and that is in the water and leaching. Number 2, there is additional bulkhead work necessary in the turning basin. Number 3, there are 2 former piers in the former shipbuilding area with rusted metal supports that need to be removed. Number 4, there are multiple areas where subsidence was observed that needs to be stabilized. Number 5, there are multiple areas around the property where erosion has occurred along the waterfront. This will require new bulkheads and backfill prior to any development. Then they state that the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development defines a blighted property as property that exhibits objectively determinable signs of deterioration. A blighted property is a physical space or structure that is no longer in acceptable or beneficial condition to its community. A property that is blighted has lost its value as a social good or an economic commodity, or its functional status as a livable space. They finish that quote and then they state, based on the length of time the property has been out of use, the current condition as described above, and the environmental impacts, this property meets the definition of a blighted property.
Call the question.
Before the,
Call the question. We've been beating this dead horse way too long.
there is something else that I think is critical to this.
Well,
We'll take the question. I'll just,
All right.
I will add this at the end under,
following
Please,
Robert's
Commissioner.
rules, if someone calls for a
Someone has to
question,
second it.
it should be seconded. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
And then it requires a 3/4 win or whatever. All right. There's called question.
Are you going to change the,
No, ma'am.
okay.
We're just calling the
As is.
question
All right.
to, if we're going to vote.
Because it was discussed. I want to make sure. Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline, Commissioner Russo.
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick.
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye. All right, let's go and vote.
Okay, now,
Commissioner Cheney,
I'll get right now.
now
this
we're
is
go-
on the agenda as written.
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline, Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
It's a nay. Motion passes 4-1.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 10.
Discuss renewing interlocal agreement with San Patricio County to provide a technical supervisor to inspect and service the county's intoxilizer equipment and to be available to testify as a witness if necessary for a cost of $14,000 for 1 year, beginning on January 1, 2025.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Sure. Good morning.
This is a renewal of a annual contract that we do. I think it's every year. It's just that they provide the expertise to come do the calibration and inspection of the equipment that we share here in the county with DPS and other officers making arrests for DWI.
And this is the same price we paid this current year, right?
I believe it is. I don't think it was in.
Yes, ma'am, it is, and it's in the budget for next year.
Thank you.
All right.
Aye.
Commissioner Castelline.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo.
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick.
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Item number 11.
I move to approve authorizing county judge to sign necessary documents to renew our Gov OS seamless documents contract for another 1-year term. No new monies.
Second that.
Got a motion and a second for Jackson.
Yes, this contract is for our online virtual documents, basically allowing e-signatures and the public. This is the contract to allow people to interact with our documents online to submit, like our public information requests, or our public participation forms, animal control forms, and things like that. And it is budgeted.
Okay. I was gonna talk to you about that because people are having trouble.
And some of them actually we discussed some of it, and I'm gonna look back at the rules on this particular form.
Okay.
Part of it may be the language may not be clear. They do have to put in a phone number, and at least, one of those fields is marked as which one is the required field. So we're just gonna clean up the language on it.
All right. All right.
Commissioner Cheney.
Aye.
Commissioner Castelline.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo.
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick.
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Item number 12.
I move to approve authorizing county elections administrator to upgrade our current park civic voting equipment from Verity version 2.5 to Verity version 2.7. Second.
Got a motion and a second. Good morning, Kevin.
Morning,
Morning.
Kevin.
So this is within the budget for next year.
You didn't put what the cost was, though, I think.
So the total cost is, it's around $6,000, just over 6,000. Majority of that cost is for purchasing a new workstation. And that's about, I think, $5,500, but that definitely is in next year's budget. All of the money is.
Is this just to update the equipment, or is this to solve a problem that we might have?
It's just to upgrade the equipment to a new software version. Most of the changes, or pretty well all the changes, are going to take place more on the back end. When we're creating ballots and program the ballots itself, it's not going to be so much anything that the voters are going to be seeing on their ballots when they come into
So
vote.
how much of an increase is this?
I'm sorry?
Is this a new purchase or?
No.
It's an upgrade. I
It's an
understand that.
upgrade.
How much is the upgrade?
About $6,000, but all of it was budgeted, and it is things that we would have to replace this year anyway. And I do also want to mention, I did mention in my agenda memo that once we do go through the upgrade, I will have to come back to Commissioner's Court for that resolution.
Commissioner Cheney. Commissioner Castelline.
Aye.
Commissioner Russo.
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick.
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, passes 5-0. Item number 13.
I would like to move that we approve slightly amended to state we are approving contract amendment number 2 for an extension of time with the grant connection, extending the term from December 31, 2024 until the earlier of January 31, 2025, or until the project is completed and administrative closed for a fee not to exceed $3,750.
Second.
Is that okay with you, Al?
What project is it?
Bayshore Drive, yes, sir.
I just thought we should put what the contract amendment number was in the motion.
Just a question concerning the agenda item itself. Is it allowable for us to add items to an agenda item that are not published? And I'm not against it.
No.
I'm just asking a question.
I'm just amending it.
I think it was just a clarification on which change it was, the change for contract number. It's the second change on the contract. Adela, are you okay with that?
First of all, I have no approval authority of what
Is there isn't, I would say that my understanding of the Open Meetings Act is if it's not noticed, it cannot be participated or participated in, but at the same time, I, if the, I believe the wording is if the substance,
That was my.
is generally
Substance
noticed.
To the agenda item, is it something that we can add at the time of the motion? Or does the motion have to go either for or against what was stated publicly in the published document?
It's in our letterhead.
Agenda. I just don't know.
Two separate questions. One, I think in today's situation, we're fine. There's a new AG opinion that came out on October 2nd of this year, discussing boilerplate language. And then, but the act itself says if it's sufficient enough to give the public notice, which I think we have here, and I think the issue is one of naming, so that we can probably go forward today. But your second question of, you do need to vote on what is proposed. So, but I think in that proposal, Commissioner Russo asked to amend it from the very start of her proposal. So you should probably be all right.
Well, the only reason I ask that is because we change items from time to time to be more substantive than what is on there. I don't have a problem with that as long as it meets the requirements of the publication.
Yes.
So I have a question, Al or Jackie. Does the grant pay that $3,750?
No, ma'am, the grant will not pay that. This is going to be something that we will have to pay, and ultimately the city has paid, reimbursed us for all of those.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline, Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, passes. Item number 14.
To approve change order number 2 for construction contract for Ruby Allen and trailer ditch improvements in the county's general land office community development block grant disaster relief contract number 20-065-498-C270. Anderson, Columbia, increase the contract amount by an additional $169,739. The change order will increase the total contract amount from $5,562,662.22. The change order is for additional work needed to relocate an existing luminary in conflict with construction as well as mitigating washouts around headwaters. Yeah. I'll second that, but I also have a question, very simple question. If you read that, it says increase the total contract amount from $5,562,000 and change. Should that not say contract 2?
Yes, sir, absolutely. That was something that was brought to my attention. Yes, sir.
Okay. So, clarify. Is it correct to say 2, or is it the sum of the 2 amounts?
By saying 2, that the $5,562,662.22 is the current final amount.
The final number?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so
2 would be
amend
correct.
my motion from to 2, and I'll amend my second.
All right.
I have a
Good.
question. Has this work already been done?
Yes, ma'am, it has been. This is finishing up, kind of wrapping everything up. The project is complete, and we are going through the closeout documents.
And in that paperwork, it showed that there were 23 light poles that had to be reinstalled, but we're just talking about one.
Well, where did you find that? I thought I caught all those, ma'am. I'm
It's
sorry.
on page 1 of the Texas General Land Office construction change order request, where it shows the $33,000
Okay.
in that description.
Looking at my change order, we got that corrected. Yes, ma'am. It was actually light pole number 23, and it caused a lot of confusion. I thought I caught all those references.
It is for only one light. pole.
So one light pole is $33,000? Oh my gosh.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but thank you for that correction, because I thought, did the other ones get put in for free?
No, ma'am, that would have taken lights from Rockport all the way to Aransas Pass, 23 light poles.
We could probably use them, couldn't we? Okay, light pole number 3. 20.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline, Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Item number 15.
I move to approve pursuing engineer to replace Mott McDonald.
Second.
On a motion and second.
Where are we doing this? Does Mont McDonald?
Yes.
Okay.
County, or their contract expired, they're into the contract and they don't want to renew.
They give a reason.
They said they don't have anybody in the area.
Their corpus office is closed, so they've been utilizing engineers all over the United States. Right now, they've been subcontracting with some of the engineers to do some of their on-site construction monitoring and stuff. They don't want the liability of it with having to pay a subcontractor. It's
They've
not.
done a bad job or anything.
No, sir, it's not. They were originally selected back in 2018 when we did for all the projects for Harvey. I know Anthony Gonzalez is here with Grant Works, if y'all have any questions for him. But you need to keep in mind that if we continue with these, the grant will not pick up any of the engineering costs anymore on this stuff because these are new. They're not the contract, they're not the engineer of record, and it won't pick up any of those costs. This is going to be the Shell Ridge, the Lamar Beach, the Little Bay drainage, and the Basin 39 projects. Not sure. A lot of expense. They're normally about 15% of the, I'm looking back because I see people that, of what the contract is. Right now, I believe Lamar is about $7 million and Shell Ridge is 3 or 4. You also keep in mind that was Mott McDonald's engineering. So a new engineer is going to come in and want to totally engineer. You know, they're going to want to do their own work.
Are we required to replace them if they ask us to? I mean.
Well, they've
Well,
said
we
they're
have
not
no
gonna do
contract
it.
with them anymore. They've said they're not going to do it. I mean, they don't want to renew the contract. So, I mean, do you have, we have worked with, we have not talked, most of these projects are with Tatum, they're 404. The Basin 39 is the only one that is GLO project. We're still haven't even gotten the amendment all done on that one. But they've included that in one of them because they were looking at subcontracting with Urban, who did the original engineering on that, but they're not interested in pursuing that either. So I don't know, Anthony, did you have anything else you wanted to add to it?
For Basin 39, the GLO project, like Jackie said, they're not interested. Mott McDonald's not interested in subbing out that work to Urban, and that will likely mean that that project won't be able to be funded if another engineer isn't being brought on. But that the money for Basin 39, the construction dollars would be deobligated from the county's grant, and it wouldn't cost the county anything at this point. And I'm happy to answer any other questions y'all might have.
We have not incurred any expenses on any of these where we would have to repay anything. A lot of it has to do with timelines, especially with the Basin 39, because GLO is coming in and giving us a lot shorter timeline. So having to go out and reprocure, I mean, you're looking at least 60 days there. And then if there's any, if say Urban, who had already done all of this engineering, was successful, then I'm sure that may even throw them out of it. But it's something that we need to look at and decide whether we want to go through and reprocure or if we don't. And that it is going to be an expense to the county if we have to do it for any of them.
Jackie,
Yes,
I had a question. We recently approved posting for a civil engineer and an MEP engineer?
Yes, ma'am. Those were for a specific project.
Were they
That
for
was,
specific?
yes, ma'am. When
Were they
those were
for the
advertised, they
DRP?
were, yes.
So we couldn't see if they'd be interested in this. This would be a whole new.
No, we would have to
solicitation.
actually re-procure for
Okay.
this, this funding source.
Okay, thank you. Well, we don't really have a choice, do we? I mean, Mott McDonald just said they're not gonna do any more work for us. Do we have a choice?
I don't think we really do have a choice, no, ma'am.
Unless
You know,
we-
unless the commissioners want to, you know, incur the expense of re-engineering everything. I would suggest at this time that, we don't. It's substantial. I mean, we're looking at probably just with the two Shell Ridge and Lamar, you're looking at least 11, $12 million right there. And then I'm not sure what Basin 39 was going to be, but then Little Bay, I don't even know what that one, I want to say that one was substantial also.
But we are looking at possibly having Little Bay in with the Protect grant possibly, aren't we?
I don't think that Little Bay drainage, theirs is a,
Oh,
the
okay.
Protect grant that we are looking at is a planning grant. It is not for the work. With
Okay.
planning grant has already been done for Little Bay. This was actually for construction.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline,
Just
Well,
to
y'all made a
pursue
motion.
another engineer,
Hmm.
just to pursue another engineer, since Mott McDonald said no.
Yeah, the motion was to approve, and the motion made was to approve, so.
Can I ask a question on that? Just a clarification. Jackie, are you saying this is not a good option to approve it?
No,
I mean,
Financially?
financially, it is not, and time-wise, because we have limited time on all of these grants. I mean, I think GLO's, grant is February of 25 is when, you know, unless we get an extension, that's the end of that grant also.
Is it too late for me to amend my motion to change it to disapprove? Or vote
Just
against
vote
it?
this down.
Either way, vote against it.
You want to change his motion to disapprove it, you can vote nay to approve it and do the same thing.
Do the same thing, right? Thank you for that information, Jackie. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Does that mean none of these projects that we've looked at are doing, will go forward?
Just these that we've listed
What
right
have we
here,
incurred in costs to this point?
nothing.
No. Not like we're gonna have to double pay or.
No, we won't have to repay any of the
So-
funding sources.
So those projects will have to come back to the court to reassess whether or not we want.
Once we have another funding source, yes, sir.
This doesn't affect any of the grants we have right now approved under Mott McDonald.
No, they will complete the road and drainage projects that they are doing. These are under Mott McDonald's, but they will not renew and complete
Right.
those, but they have not even completed the engineering on them, is my understanding.
Okay, now I'm confused. So if we vote against getting another engineer, is that going to just nix the Shell Ridge Road project? Well, and the other projects? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for that explanation. Okay,
We know that we'll have to pay our engineering out of pocket, which is 15% of all.
And the funding that we already know is that it's going to be 1.2 million is going to be our match for that one. And then the engineering would be on top of it.
So if we vote not to pursue, what do we got to get an engineer?
You don't need, I mean, if we're not gonna pursue the projects, then we don't need an engineer for them.
Okay.
We would have to go back, we would have to come back at a later date when there was funding available or the projects would be, come up with some other funding type that we could do those.
Yeah, my concern was mainly that Mott McDonald wasn't dropping us in the middle of the project.
They are not dropping us in the projects that they are currently working on and they are currently doing. But they're not in, right, exactly. We've got several, all of the street and drainage that we're doing right now with the C-270 that are near completion, they are completing those. But this is anything that they're still, we're working on engineering and,
But
and
we're not gonna pay them for anything other than what they've been paid for.
exactly.
Fine.
Yeah, they don't bill us for anything except what they've done, work done. We don't pay for anything other than work done.
From the financial standpoint, this would really limit our reserves or cut into our reserves quite a bit, and correctly?
Yes, it would.
If we pursued those projects further.
Yes.
Elle, do you have anything you want to say on this? No? This is very unfortunate because I know that we've been trying, especially on Shell Ridge. I don't know about the others, but since Shell Ridge is in my precinct, to get TDM and FEMA to move forward for 3.5 years of my 4-year term.
Mhm.
And if that had not taken so long, we would not be in this predicament right now.
And as far as Lamar Beach Road, there were a lot of concerns about what was engineered and whether that was, from the public, a lot of concerns about if it was the best method, so product that they wanted. So I think this isn't gonna be a negative thing for Lamar Beach Road happening.
Well, my understanding is even with Shell Ridge, the company that they were going to subcontract with was looking at maybe having to do some modifications. And if you do that, you have to go back to FEMA to get it approved, which,
Either way we go, we're gonna end up having to go back to FEMA or
Mhm.
Elle, could you come to the microphone and kind of give us an idea of what projects we have that, how this is gonna affect them?
So it's going to be Shell Ridge and Lamar Beach, and those projects have both been approved for funding. However, the engineering was done so long ago, we've kept saying that we need to go back and, see if we can get more additional money for engineering. And with Lamar Beach, we were trying to change the percentage. So we just had the kickoff meeting for that one about maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, in which we went right back and said, hey, we need more money. Because it wasn't 25/75 like Shell Ridge was, as far as the percentage that the county would have to pay. So the fact that we're not going to be able to move forward with these because of this significant cost with engineering is, in my opinion, going to just kill those projects. And we would have to go back out. And you're right, Commissioner, had it not taken so long for us to get those projects through the process, Mott McDonald probably would have stayed on board. But I understand, they don't have anybody locally, and subbing out is kind of.
I've said for some time, more than likely the government, that was their way to keep from giving us the money.
That was partly it, but Shell Ridge was actually awarded over a year ago. I think it was at least over a year ago. And
We've had multiple changes and hoops to jump through and through the whole thing. I've always felt like, hey, we're trying to weigh it down. Other places still.
Okay.
So.
Right, so,
Mhm.
thank you. All right, so we got
We could continue on with the vote, or we could make note and start over with a vote due to further conversation.
It looks to me like really no choice there. If they don't want to work for us, we're not gonna be able to go forward. Is there an adequate choice? I would say the motion should stand that we approve the way it's written.
So we're going to just vote on approving.
If you want to kill the deal, you need to vote nay to the. Bob made a motion to approve going forward. If we don't want to do that, we need to vote nay to the.
And I can amend my motion from the information we've had. I don't think,
No, you're correct, Bob. We don't want to pursue anything until we're free on McDonald. So I would say that you need to pass that agenda item.
Okay.
Am I correct in my understanding that? Blake, can you go?
He made a motion to approve giving a note.
So we need to not do that.
If you don't want to do that,
That's what I don't want to do.
I can't tell you how to vote.
No, I know that, but I'm asking for.
You remember
guidance.
back and think how I voted, well, maybe that would be.
So we're going to start the vote over.
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
The motion is to approve it. Commissioner Cheney,
Nay.
Commissioner Casterline, Commissioner Russo,
Nay.
Commissioner Dupnick,
they,
Judge Garza.
Nay. Motion fails 5-0. Item number 16. Oh, I'm sorry.
05.
05, sorry. 05, thank you. We're gonna go on a 10-minute break. Sorry. No, you really want, I'm sorry. Again. All right, we're back in open session. Item number 16.
Move to approve.
Oh, we need Chris here. Oh, there he is. Okay, item number 16.
Move to approve requesting 8 months of qualifications. The request for qualification from architect, correspondence with substantial experience designing aquarium, building, to assist Aransas County in developing the new aquarium at Rockport Park.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. Good morning, Ms. L.
Morning, Commissioner, Judge. We are just going to go back out and request qualifications for an architect for the aquarium who's got knowledge of aquariums and how they need to be built. We've kind of gone through the process already, so a lot of this will probably be an easier process because we already know where our footprint needs to be with the Texas Parks and Wildlife.
Can somebody brief us from the read how we got to this for everybody? Architect contract ran out. Is that permittable for us to bring it up?
So previously, you all voted to end the contract with the architect. So we need a new architect. It wasn't necessarily up, but he wanted more money to continue on with his work and we hadn't seen any progress. So we now need to find a new architect so that we can move it along and get ourselves our aquarium back. So.
Thank you.
Commissioner Cheney? Wait, I had a couple of questions and they're probably insignificant, but just in the RFQ, there are different addresses given in there. They talk about 2740 Highway 35, 2851 Highway 35, 2751 Highway 35. It would be good if we just had one consistent address. So that's just a recommendation that can be corrected.
Commissioner, some of those are the mailing address. Some of them are the physical address where they're going to pick up the RFQ. So if we use the same address, it would mean somebody else would have to know what was
So we
going
have
on.
3 different addresses then?
Yes, ma'am.
Holy cow.
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay, all right, sounds good.
Thank you.
And I did ask Dr. Mace to be here. He's the head of the Friends of Aquarium Board. I certainly want to keep them involved in the process, and I would also, if this is passed, encourage his involvement also on the rating team when the RFQs arrive. Did you have anything you wanted to say, Dr. Mace, since you sat here for so long? Still hello?
I'm not used to hearing somebody call him doctor. I was looking around for the guy.
Yeah,
Okay,
for the
Chris,
record,
go
I am
ahead.
Dr. Christopher Mace, and I'm the Board of Directors President for the aquarium at Rockport Harbor for 8 years now, since prior to the hurricane. And I would be very pleased to continue to collaborate with you all if you see fit on the RFQ evaluation.
Thank you for being here.
What is your new? I don't know if everybody knows.
So I do work for Texas Parks and Wildlife Department in the Coastal Fisheries Division. I am the Fisheries Enhancement Program Director, which is, I oversee the state saltwater fisheries. We have about a $3 million budget and 40 employees. We grow the redfish, spotted sea trout, and southern flounder for the state of Texas.
And
I
in
don't know
an,
if everybody knew that you went on to do that.
and in an earlier conversation this morning, you mentioned that you already have some aquarium tanks that were prepared to go into this facility, which is one reason I think it would be really good to have you involved in
Yes,
the
ma'am.
discussion.
With using the plans that were approved several years ago, we went ahead and had some custom aquariums built to replace the ones we lost like for like. That's FEMA.
Right.
The FEMA grant that the aquarium has is about a $220,000 grant for reimbursement. And so they really prefer you replace like with like.
Right.
And that's what we did. And the 2 tanks we have, they're approximately 1,000-gallon custom fiberglass tanks. They're sitting up in Carnes at the Red Ewald factory. They've been there for well, probably 3 years now. He's very patient with us. So Previously, we made an agreement to bring them down and store them at the airport, but these are big, heavy tanks that we really prefer to just move once.
Yeah.
And although I spoke with Mike today, he's happy to house them. If we need to do that, we can, but they're safe where they are. And I have 3 other custom glass aquariums ordered that we haven't started to build yet because of the same reason. We want to build them and install them once. And they used to hold the eel. There's a cube tank to replace the center. Anyway, the bottom line is we have a large grant with FEMA to replace the contents of the aquarium. That has been extended 9 times and will expire at the end of 2025. I don't believe we will have any more ability to renew it or extend that grant. So if we don't get this across the finish line this calendar year, 2025, that will significantly impact our ability to actually purchase the aquarium and the displays that were inside the building.
Thank you.
So we got hurt.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Weiss.
Commissioner Cheney, Commissioner Casterline, Commissioner Russo.
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye. That passes 5-0. Item number 18.
Second.
Got a motion and a second?
Is Elma on or no?
I would, she's doing payroll right now, so
Oh,
I
okay.
don't think that she's.
I would just point out that her office continues to really monitor the prescription drug cost. And for this month, which I think was November, they had 90 prescriptions at $3,900. So kudos to her and her indigent healthcare folks.
Commissioner Cheney, Commissioner Casterline, Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Item number 19.
Move to approve the use of the remaining American Rescue Plan Act Fund.
Got a motion and a second?
You don't need to say what you're gonna do.
It's at the bottom of the background. I didn't know if we should amend the motion to include that.
I don't know that we need to.
Okay. You
I
wanna
was
just
gonna
tell us?
report that we're going to use it for 2 more of the trailers, the signs, the portable signs, as well as the balance of it will be used to help cover the cost of fiber optic for the new courthouse.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, passes. Item number 21.
Approve the 2025 grant and financial policies as presented. Section 3, an economic policy. Aransas County Civil Rights Policy dash responding to discrimination complaints for federal and state grant programs. The Code of Conduct, fraud detection, fixed asset methodology, the Aransas County Environmental Grant, fund balance, the excessive force, the Aransas County Financial Policies and Procedures, cash handling, GSB 34 on uncollectible receivables policy.
Second.
Yes, these are our annual policies that we are required to have not only for grants, some of them are specifically for different grants, some of them are required by our outside auditors. There are only 2 that really required any changes, and that was the Code of Conduct policy. It was actually written for a specific grant. We took that out and made it a general policy, so it covers any procurement for the county, whether it be for a grant or any other procurement. And then the other one was in our financial policies. Our outside auditors had recommended a couple of changes, additions to it. So those are highlighted in yellow in that policy. And it was specifically more for setting dates and having a specific date to have something like a journal entry done or something, instead of leaving it open.
Jackie, I had a couple of questions.
Yes, ma'am.
on the first policy on page 2, under item number 2, Aransas County shall take the following action, appoint and designate an individual, sorry, it's B. Who is that section 3 coordinator?
That would be the procurement specialist is who we had said last year. It's not specifically named in here, but that would be who would do that
Thank you.
compliance.
And then on the civil rights policy, on page 2, there's a complaint coordinator
Yes,
that's defined. Who is that person?
that is the county judge.
Or someone he designates? Or it is always the
It
county
is the
judge?
county judge, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we don't have to designate it. It just is the county judge.
Yes.
Under training, I think this is the civil, or if we get a complaint, it's, item number 9, says the county will provide periodic training for all employees and will facilitate civil rights requirement training for subrecipients. Can we get TAC to provide that? Or,
I would say yes. In fact, TAC just came and did training for us and it covered a lot of the civil rights stuff too. It wasn't specifically for that, but they did cover a lot of that
and then we
information.
just invite the subrecipients to attend that kind of training?
Yes, well, that would be if we were giving somebody a grant. If we had something like that, yes, we would.
Okay, so it doesn't.
So we are,
if we
we
hire
are
somebody-
specifically the subrecipients on most of this
Okay.
stuff. Yes.
And under cash handling, and I think it's a very good policy. And I know that there's someone in your office, maybe more than one, that sometimes goes in and audits different departments and then sends the follow-up and includes us on the court and the district judges with recommendations.
Yes, ma'am.
I noticed that there is a consistency of 1 or 2 departments that are always cited for holding deposits much longer than the policy states. I don't know what we're doing to encourage that that's corrected.
We train and inform all of those departments and remind them constantly, as well as writing them up. We don't really have any other recourse for it other than letting them know that they are violating the statutes on that they are required. And Treasurer's office is usually really good about
Yes, I know.
notifying everyone if they need to bring something in. But yes, we do have some that are consistently slow.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Are those, are just a follow-up question there, are those slow because they're slow or they're slow because of time?
I believe some of them are slow just because they're slow, but some of them, the deposits are really small. They're not real big, like tax office or some of the bigger deposits. And I don't know, other than they just
But they don't follow the policy.
don't follow the policy, or, I mean, it's not even just our policy, that's statute that they're required to turn it in. I mean, it is a statute.
Yeah.
Commissioner Cheney?
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline?
Aye.
Commissioner Russo?
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick?
Aye.
Judge Garza?
Aye, passes. Motion passes 5-0. Item number 22.
I move to approve the November 22nd, 2024 Auditor's Monthly Report.
I'll be happy to answer any questions. I did bring something and wanted to let y'all know on the auditor's report. We're always so far in the red on our 430 fund. But I did want y'all to know we've got $2.4 million that's sitting at the different agencies that we have already submitted for requests for reimbursement that have not been received to date. So there's, we're working on them, working through their process to get those monies. It's not, right, it's not in the bank right now. I mean, there's maybe a little bit over $1 million that's still kind of outstanding or in process in our field, but for the funding agencies, they've got like 2.4 million that have already been submitted for reimbursement.
Jackie, on the COG MITMOD,
Yes, ma'am.
I think at the stormwater management meeting, or somewhere, one of the Fulton reps mentioned that their reimbursements are not being made. And I don't think that's from
We
us.
don't even have the contract yet with GLO for that MITMOD. We had a meeting last week and they told us, well, actually, she was in the office last week doing a file review. They are supposed to be letting all of the agencies know something before the end of the year, before they go on Christmas break, where this stands. Some of the different counties have already been notified of their awards, but we have not received a contract from the GLO at this point, and probably won't have it before the end of the year. So, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was gonna say, they had some issues. This is one where they're saying that the way what do you call it, where they went out and knocked on doors and took out all their information, that it wasn't done correctly. Discriminatory or something, but yeah, they were kind of threatening to withhold the money, but I think we're moving forward now, right? Is that the same one?
Well, I'm sitting here trying to remember because I was thinking that we went with the LODA-MOD. They had specific areas that were already there and that we had already done
No, we
that.
did it correctly.
Yeah.
We did it correctly. I think they were threatening a lot of people in this.
Oh, okay. So it was not just specifically us.
Right.
Yeah, they're slowly doing them. My understanding is that they're very backlogged on that. Their contracts and all that is backlogged. So they're just working through their process. But I don't believe that Fulton has paid anything because they haven't even got a contract to be able to start spending money yet.
Okay, I'll ask her.
And I thought they were going through us with all the work, so we were going to be doing it. So I don't know.
It's a mystery. I'll ask.
Yep. Okay.
I'll have her get in touch with you. maybe.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline, Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, passes. Item number 23.
Move to approve budget line item.
Second.
Got a motion second.
We have none at this time.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, motion passes. Item number 24.
To approve accounts payable, payroll liability.
Second.
This is normal payroll liabilities. We did include the longevity. It is included in this payroll. Those checks were issued on November 29th. The accounts payable is all normal and very, our 430 fund. We spent, this was for some shields on one of the other grants, and because I just wrote a 50 on there instead of what it actually was.
There was a payment to Broadus for the 435.
Yes, ma'am. About this one on 430 was just a small payment, but it was $14,000 that we spent. This was to Amtech. It was one of the smaller grants that the sheriff's office got for shields. Then we had 431 was Tyler Technologies. It was jury software maintenance. And then 435 was the Broadus for 47,000.
Almost 48,000.
47,991.57. That was from June to October. Those were several months of invoices there slow in getting their invoices to us.
But I noticed that October's was for 14,000, which was a great deal more than the other individual months. And the work has slowed significantly at the site. So I was just curious. Maybe I'll just come in and review that with you.
If you would, because Tish reviews those before we do any payment on them, so I would appreciate it if you come by
Okay.
the office.
Yeah, thank you.
I know that brought.
So just so you're aware, that Broadus is coming out 2 to 3 times a week now. So they are always here on Monday, Fridays, and sometimes I think they come on Wednesday. Oh, they come on Wednesdays when we have a owners meeting. But on Mondays and Fridays, they're doing reports where they walk through the building, site visit reports.
Are you accompanying them when they do that?
No, not every time.
When you say they were coming out now 3 times a week, you said?
Yeah.
Yes.
How often were they coming out before?
One.
It was usually once a week, maybe twice a week. But now they have a new person, Raphael. And so Raphael does show up on Monday with Mark when Mark's in town. Raphael comes on Mondays and Fridays for sure.
Okay, thank you.
And then Wednesday's owners meeting. So that may be the increase in October. More site visits.
We do have a contract with them for a specific amount, and so they won't get paid any more than what that contract is. And I can't tell you right off the top of my head where we're at on that.
Oh,
But we
and I
should be close.
appreciate that, but I'll just save anything else until we visit. Thank you.
Commissioner Cheney,
Aye.
Commissioner Casterline,
Aye.
Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick.
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Aye, motion passes. All right, section 12, reports from commissioners, elected officials, and or department heads. No action will be taken.
I have a question, something for Jack and them to do back to the deal where we weren't moving on with Mike McDonald. I want to suggest that we look a little closer at the Basin 39 because it's actually already been engineered by Urban. And maybe we have the ability without spending much money, even if we were to pull it all the way back just to the boxes through 1781. Not my precinct, it's either in Commissioner Russo's or Bob's, but it's, we need the drainage to the road pretty much. I think Urban is actually substantially or maybe completely already engineered.
Yes, sir. The problem with that one is it's a GLO project and we can't change engineers. That's why we were looking at Mott McDonald subbing with Urban, so they didn't have to re-engineer it. So there's going to be an issue with us using that same funding and being able to change engineers on it. So, I mean,
I just thought about that while we're.
I know
What's the rest
that David and Daryl had talked about needing it and wanting to try to bring the scope of work down to where we did at least the culverts. But that again is going back to GLO with a change in the contract, and so.
All right, any reports from elected
I
officials?
do. Yes, thank you. So last Thursday, I spoke with a gentleman who is with, I think he's principal in the firm Allison, Bass and McGee. They are a firm in Austin, founded in 1983. Sure, everyone on Commissioner's Court is familiar with that firm, maybe others also. Their work is devoted to the representation of Texas counties, cities, and special districts. We being the firm, serve as general counsel for the Texas County Judges and Commissioners Association of Texas, and as litigation counsel for the Texas Association of Counties, 2 separate entities. In addition, we're involved in continuing education of elected officials regarding their statutory duties and responsibilities. Our background is founded upon providing Texas local governments not only legal representation, but an understanding of the public dynamics that make local government both demanding and rewarding for public officials. Mr. Allison in particular graduated from UT Law School in 1971, served as a county attorney for a number of years, then served as chief of county and local government section for the Texas Attorney General's office. He is admitted to the bar Texas State Courts, the United States District Court, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, and the U.S. Supreme Court. And I called him about some concerns I had regarding information we were receiving about the TERS, the development plan, and the legality thereof. We spoke last Thursday about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. He wanted to assure me that the city would not charge utility fees for any new thing. He said that's the only thing that they've seen as a problem sometimes when counties go into it. If the city sets up a way to charge additional fees and the county doesn't get into that. And I said, I'll keep that in mind. He said it's very important for the county to be sure our interests are protected. I said, we will. But he said he was more concerned about comments that had been made as warnings, recommendations, or opinions from the county attorney's office, not specifically the county attorney. But he did say, and I wrote it down and asked him if I had gotten this correctly, that the Code of Professional Responsibility as issued by the State Bar of Texas requires an attorney to maintain total confidentiality when giving advice on legal matters. Only the client can waive that right of confidence, and failure to do so may result in disciplinary action and possible disbarment. He gave me that information unsolicited, but he said he has a very strong concern about some of what he has been hearing or seeing. And I just want that to be recorded, that Mr. Allison certainly has a long history in county government and what our responsibilities are and what our abilities are. So thank you.
We'll move on to reports about items of community interest. Kenneth, you got anything? Good. All right. Amanda, we don't need to go into closed session. All right. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Commissioner Cheney, Commissioner Casterline, Commissioner Russo,
Aye.
Commissioner Dupnick,
Aye.
Judge Garza.
Hi, thank you so much.